Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Modeling Time with me, Brian Banna. I do hope you all had a Merry Christmas and that 2021 will shape up to be a very good and prosperous year for you. On the modeling front for me, all those videos that I did previous to this one with the projects, the C424, the C415, the SD45s, and stuff like that. My apologies to you for letting those linger. I do not know when I'll be getting back to those, or even if I'll be getting back to those. Things change with me quickly. Interests move around. I get demotivated on things and stuff like that. But I need to stop doing that. So this video is not about building a model, not yet. I will be starting a new project with the hopes of finishing it. But again, my apologies for getting stuff started and not finishing them. I don't know what it is with me right now with modeling. I want to do stuff, but the motivation to do it just just dwindles, and I move on to other things. I have been getting freight cars done though. I do enjoy doing that. Locomotives though, I don't think I've gotten one done in 2 years. It just, for some reason, I'm just not motivated to do that detail work, and I probably won't be. And so I'm working on some other things. I am getting ready to do some locomotive projects, and I'll go over those later in this video, and hopefully they will materialize. But let me talk to you a little bit about what I have been working on. So I'll get the camera set up here, and I'll put something on the bench in front of you and discuss it. But real quick, what I have been doing is finishing up my nostalgia models. Reproductions or representations of the models that I had when I was a kid, that I had in N scale. So I have been working on that. I have two of the freight cars done. The third one is painted and decaled, waiting for weathering. The locomotive is about 2/3 of the way done, and I still have to do the caboose, which I have. I just have to get it out of the box, prep it, paint it, and decal it, and things like that. So I'll go over some of that. So let me get the camera set up, and let me show you a few things that I'm really happy with, what I'm working on, and things like that. All right, so the first thing I'd like to show you and explain to you is the nostalgic work I've been doing. Now, when I talk about nostalgic stuff, I'm talking about the memories I had as a kid, and in particular, the very first train set that my parents gave me. My brother got one too, but he got a different road. His was from MRC, mine was from Atlas, that was made in Yugoslavia back in Christmas 1970. So, and those were N scale, as I had mentioned before. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to reproduce all that stuff in HO scale, just for fun and stuff. And it's turning out to be very enjoyable. So first off, we have the locomotive. So this is a Santa Fe GP40. Now, of course, Santa Fe never had their GP40 in this paint scheme. I don't even think it was that road number. But that doesn't matter. This is the locomotive I had when I was a kid, and it's over 50 years old now. So what I've done is I've taken an Atlas Roco model, and I started building it into that GP40. Excuse me. Now, there's not a lot of work done to it. There is some work done to it. I did smooth out the fuel tank, added the sight glass, added a fuel filler. I've done work to the roof. Like I said, this is about 2/3 of the way done. I have all the parts for this sitting off to the side. I have finished doing the handrail sets. These are actually, excuse me, Kato GP35 handrail sets, and then I had to cut and splice an extra piece for back here and, of course, on the other side. Other things I've done, I put a plow on it to, like I said, Santa Fe never had the GP. It had a GP40. It was an XTP&W, but it never had it painted up in the blue with the yellow ends and stuff. So this is purely for memories for me. But I did use for guidance what they would have done, or what they did, or what Santa Fe did to their GP38s. So it's got plows on both ends, things like that. So as you can see, I'm working on the roof line. I am waiting on parts. That's why it's sitting as it is right now. I've got tread plate coming to me. I just felt I needed to put tread plate on it. It just looks too naked without it. So there is some modeling that's being done, and I'm going to go over a few other things, but first let me continue on down the line. So that's going to be the locomotive. Put this aside. The first freight, there are 3 freight cars plus a caboose. So the first freight car was this 40-foot box car. That model I have done. This is a Walthers model of their 19 something, I can't remember, 1940 something AAR box cars. We got the riveted sides and stuff like that. I did do the decals to match this box car. I used True Color paint, and then I weathered it. It's got some Tahoe Model Works trucks on it, and so that's the box car. Now all of these freight cars that I've done, you can see on my Flickr page. The next car will be this Norfolk Southern composite gondola. Now the closest car that I could find to this, it's not an exact match, but the closest I could find was the P1K car. I did the decals for this, and it's this car here. It's also riding on Tahoe Model Works trucks, and I put a load of crushed limestone in it. So, and it's got Katy couplers, same with the boxcar. So that represents the gondola, and again, you can see that on my Flickr page. The third car is this New York Central, or NISX, stock car. Now the closest representation to this car, which is pretty much the car, is the, in HO scale, is the AHM stock car, which you can see here. I just finished decaling these over the weekend, so I've got 6 of these cars. This is the one that represents my N-scale car, and I've got some Tahoe Model Works 40-ton trucks to go under it. Those I painted today. So this car is ready for weathering. I just need to put a flat finish on it and weather it. So I like how this car turned out. I really do. The green is just straight Tamiya deep green, and it worked out well. I did the decals for it too to match the N-scale car. And then the caboose. So I got this caboose. So all these were out of the very first train set. So there's the caboose. And that will be represented with an Athearn cupola caboose here, this guy here. Now this one was sent to me just as you see it. So this weight was rattling around inside of the box, and it severely damaged the caboose. So I have another one of these coming. This really kind of ticked me off, but nothing I can really do about it. So it damaged this here, which I can't repair because if I bend it back, it's just going to tear off. It damaged this grab iron here on the end, and if I try to bend it, it's already coming off. So can't do anything about that. And it damaged the end of this grab iron here. So this one is a parts model. And like I said, I've got another one coming to me, so I will hopefully, I told the guy to please package it right, and hopefully it'll come to me in good order, and then I can just clean up any flash that's on it, get it painted, and I've got microscale decals for it, and it'll just be plain, just like this. It's just going to have the reporting marks, the road number, and I will put road number and reporting marks on the ends of there. So that's basically my nostalgic stuff. So we got the locomotive, the box car, the stock car, the gondola, and the caboose. So I'm almost done with that. Like I said, I got about 2/3 of the way on the locomotive. And so I have a number of these Atlas Roco / Concours models. This one's the only GP40 I have. Actually, I had 2 GP40s, and the other one was going to be Sioux Line, but my intention was not to really do a whole lot. And on the Sioux Line one, I got carried away, and I did a little bit more than I wanted to, and it's just a mess right now. So, but this one's working out well. I'm not going crazy with it, and it'll get done in the Santa Fe like you saw on the N-scale locomotive. But with some cool things that I developed for this, to do this, first of all, on the frame, basically what I did is I squared up the ends of the fuel tank, and then I put an end cap back on them to build it back up so it'd be the correct length at least. Now the contour of the tank isn't great, but this frame's heavy, and something you need to understand about these kinds of models. These are not stellar models, and they never will be. They are what they are, and you can do with them what you want, but you're never going to get a state-of-the-art model out of them. And I do not intend to do that. I'm just enjoying modeling with them. I'm not going to go to the nth degree with them, as you can see. I mean, I could cut that fuel tank, and I could put an Athearn fuel tank under it. I could cut the frame and put a frame rail in it and blah, 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 and do all that stuff. That's not what I want out of this model. Or any of the ones that I'll show you in a little bit, the Atlas Roco GP38s and stuff. So that's what's going on with this model. So like I said, I straightened the frame, I sanded the tank down to get all the goobers off of it. It has a nice smooth finish to the side of the tank. I added the fuel gauge, I added a fuel filler, and I added a drain block on the back. I added a drain on the back, a sump drain, and that's all I did to it. So that gives it a little bit of detail. I did detail the trucks with a brake line and some sanding hose brackets and stuff like that. Now on the shell itself, I made a whole bunch of things for it. So as you can see, let me take, the plow keeps falling off the front, so I'll use the front. I did clean off the front of the pilot plate, and I made a tool for that. Let me show you this tool real quick. It's a very basic tool. It's all made out of plastic. So basically what it is, I can't put it in right now because these are now, the draft gearboxes are now glued into it. But what it does is this piece fits into the shell here. This piece fits into the back of the shell. And then to keep everything straight, this piece goes in like that and keeps the pilots vertical. So then what I do is I put it in the mill upside down like this, and I come in with a long milling bit, and I just face the pilot plates. And I only do enough so that it's in the last pass, it's all smooth all the way across. And then I'll come back and I'll sand it and stuff like that. These things aren't molded true, so there's going to be a little bit of detail that sticks up. So I do what I can, and then I'll come back and shave it off with a knife and scrape it and then sand it all, and that's what I get. So then what I do to finish up the pilot is I made this tool. Where did I put it? There it is. I made this tool here that hangs over the pilot, fits perfectly on the pilot like that. And then I can scribe and locate the holes that I need to drill, and the inset pocket there that I needed, and also my new draft gearbox and buffer plate. So you can see the opening right there. So I take that off, and then what I have is my draft gearbox in the back, plus these wings and everything that fits in here. Now you're going to see if I have I don't have a pointer out here. Let me get a pointer out. Not that thing. There we go. You'll see these little pins right here and right here. So what I do is I will not glue this in right away. This is all one piece right here. As you can see, it's 3D printed. It's all one piece. It has these pins on it. So what I'll do is I'll cut the frame, as you can see right here, this area right here. I've cut it half the thickness. Then this piece is the other half of the thickness. So I'll set the frame in here so that it lays over these pieces. Then I'll set this locating piece, which has holes in it for the pins, over the pins, and then it'll be over the frame, and you'll notice it has these holes here and here. Well, I'll use those holes to mark on the frame so that I can drill. You can see the hole right there, and there's another one right there. So I can drill through the frame, and that will locate where these screw holes will be. Now in this part, I have a cavity for a 080 nut to fit into, so I glue the nut into it, and then when I put it all together, I can screw I can put a screw through the frame, and I've countersunk this hole. I can put a screw through the frame, thread it into the nut, and now I'll have the shell held in place with that screw. And now what this does is it takes, this used to have a little round piece that the coupler screwed into. Well, now with this all bolted together or screwed together, everything's pulling off the frame and it's all like one piece down here. Then, you notice, like I said, I have the buffer plate hole drilled out or cut out. I've got my buffer plate here, and it goes, oh, my wife's calling, just a second. Okay, so where was I? I'm sorry, folks, that was my wife calling, and when your wife calls, you stop what you're doing and you answer the phone. So anyway, oh yeah, I was talking about the buffer plates. So anyway, so what I have here, where's the, there we go. So then this buffer plate will fit right into that cavity. Let me see if I can get it in there. It's really tight. Into the cavity, something like that. And then the coupler, so the opening in the draft gearbox and this buffer plate match up and everything lines up properly. And I've revised this. I don't know if you can see it in there, but there's two holes in that draft gearbox, and I need to widen those holes. I broke one of the pins off, and there's a pin. There's only one pin left on this one, and so that aligns everything perfectly. So that's one of the things that I've done. The other tool that I've made is this. It looks like the nose. So what that does is allows me, and it's got in the back all the cutouts for all the detail that's on the nose. So what that does is I put that on there like that, fits real nicely. It allows me to drill the holes for the grab irons in the right place. Now, what I've also done is these come with a nose light, so I've also filled that in. What I do is I cut that rectangle out, and I take a piece of Canon & Company nose, and I cut it to the size, put it in there, and then fill with CA, let it set, carve it down, sand it out, and I got a nice smooth nose. Now, I've also made the grab iron locator for the back of the long hood, so that'll fit just like that. And then I can locate where the holes are and drill them out. Now you'll also see that the class lights are drilled out. I still have to dimple them a little bit. I bought a ball end milling bit, the right diameter, and I'll just cup them just a little bit. And I made these right here. I don't know where my one that I fixed it. Well, you'll see it later. So this is a little box that right there, a little LED will fit into. You'll see the rectangular cutout on the back. I don't know if you can see that or not, but a resistor will fit in there. The wires will come through, come out the bottom, and then I'll wire one side to the resistor, the other side of the resistor goes to the board. So I'll be using a 1500 ohm resistor here, and there's a 200 or 2200 ohm resistor on the board. Those two combined give this a really nice light glow. So it's not piercing light, it'll be a nice little glow for that. I've got set up here for, I wish I'd have gotten it out, but I don't have them out yet, but I have LEDs that fit right into the headlight or the long hood end light and the cab light here. They fit real nicely in there, and I'll be using, what are these here? I've got the 7-inch headlight lenses, which will go over that fit real nicely in there. And just a second, my dog's tearing apart my EMD drawings. Jackie, spit it out. Quit eating my drawings. Sorry about that, everybody. And these will be the class lights. These are the 4.5-inch headlight lenses. So these will be for class lights. What else do I have here? Oh, I have another one of these, but this piece here will fit on the side of the hood, and it'll allow me to drill the holes for the grab irons on top. And this piece here fits on the side, so I can drill the holes for the grab irons on the side. So that takes care of that. Let me see any other tools. No, actually, I made these. These are kind of basic little things, but these, I'm using Kato handrail stanchions and handrail sets. These helped me space the holes for the handrails or the stanchions. So what I would do is I would first locate this hole on the cab. I didn't use the hole that came with the cab. I filled that and then relocated. So I needed to locate this hole and this hole first so that the handrail set fit perfectly without any stretching or binding or anything like that. Then I would take this, put it in that hole, and be able to line it up and locate where the next hole would go for the stanchion. So I did that all the way down. This stanchion here is the one that's spliced. So this stanchion has the piece that goes down into the step well, and this stanchion has a piece that goes up. So I had to do this piece here. This is a separate stanchion here. So I just put that in the middle of these. And it's the same for this side. So doing a little bit of modeling there and getting that done. I added the air filter, I added the ground lights, and that's about, and the bell. So that's about it for that. And when the tread plate comes in, that'll get put on and I can finish the model. So moving right along, let me get the camera set up at the decal area and I can show you some of the stuff that I've been working on down there. Not necessarily decals, but other things. Oh, one other thing I did. I want to try to get this model to about a pound. It's almost there. By itself, it weighs 14 3/4 ounces. So I made these little brass blocks, and they will fit. Let me see which. Yeah. So this one This one will fit. I think I have to trim it. No, there we go. So that one will fit in like that. And then this one will fit in the other side, and that'll bring me up to just under a pound. So I'm hoping to add a little bit more weight in some other areas, and I can bring this the total weight of this model up to over a pound, or at least a pound. I'll get that out in a minute. So let me move the camera over, put some of these things away, and we'll move on. Oh, real quick, I think I showed you these, but these are all painted. True Color paint, Santa Fe yellow, and Santa Fe blue. I first primed them in white, put the yellow on everything, and then put the blue on. So the blue showed up really good over the yellow. So those are all done and ready to go on. The trucks are painted and ready to go on. And I don't know if you saw that on the frame, but up here I have on here and here, and I need to put some pins on the ends. I have the where I can put the sanding hoses in place, and they'll loop down to the trucks. I have the same stuff on the trucks so that I'll have a nice look for the sanding hoses. So again, let me get reset up, and we'll talk about some other things. One other thing I forgot to show you is I made this. This is what I call my all-in-one DCC board, speakers, and Keep Alive. And it fits real nicely inside the hood. When I get this back from Shapeways, what I do is I boil it, get all the wax off of it, and boiling it makes it soft so that I can just press it down on a flat surface, because it comes to you a little bit bowed, just a little bit. So I press it down on a flat surface, let it cool, and it stays flat. Now what this will do, so here's the Roco motor. On the bottom of this is a cavity that fits this motor perfectly. So the front of the motor is here. So this will fit right on top, right on top of the motor real nicely. It clears the flywheels. And so I'll silicone seal this down. I've got little cavities here and here and here for nuts, so that when 080 nuts, so I can put the board on top here, put some screws through it, and it'll be secured real nicely. The Keep Alive will snap into here, and I've got some routing channels for all the wires to come up and solder into the decoder where they're supposed to be. I've got these holes here and here for the truck wires to come up. Underneath, I have some routing channels for the wires to go through and then come up to keep them away from the flywheels here and here also. So the truck wires will come up, they'll go through these channels, and then they'll go through the hole here and then come up to the board. So that'll work out real nicely. These two holes here and here are for the wires from the motor. They'll come straight up, they'll route underneath, and then come up to the board. So that's how basically that's going to set up. Then I've got speakers that I can glue into here and here. I've got a sound chamber inside here, and this fits under the hood real nicely. So I forgot to show that. And real quick, while I'm here, another project I'm working on, I've got this, what is this thing? It's a 55-foot center flow hopper, Athearn, that I'll be making into Hercules. I got two of these to make into Hercules hoppers. So what I've done, I needed to fix up the draft gearbox and stuff like that. So I've cut the brake cylinder off and the three-way valve here, the triple valve here, and I've cut the draft gearbox off. And while I was cleaning up where the brake line piping or the train line piping goes, I accidentally cut off one of the brackets. I'm like, oh crap, I got to make new ones. So what I did is I made a new draft gearbox and new brackets. So this draft gearbox will fit right in there, just like that. And it'll use the lid from the AccuRail parts. So I'll use the AccuRail lid, and I'll be able to, and I'll put the AccuRail brake cylinder and triple valve in place. So that's something I'm working on also. And on the back of these brackets, there's a little cavity that I can glue the train line hose into, or the train line piping into, and rebuild that. So that's got to be done. So again, let me reset up and we'll go over some other things. Okay, so here's a tour of my freight yard. Now, like I said twice before, all of these cars are on my Flickr page. You can see them all up close and stuff like that. So basically on the back row there you got two Bessemer cars. Those are ready to run Athearn cars. Then in front of that you got two X58 cars. Those are Athearn cars with Dan Kohlberg decals. And in front of that there's another one, X58 Pennsylvania. To the right of the single Pennsylvania car you got two EJ&E coal hoppers. And then in front of that we got the Wabash cars and the Schlitz car. Now the Schlitz car is a reason I have that. It'll be my only brake staff car. If I can ever find that car in the car like this Miller car, then I'll get it. Or if I can do the decals for the Schlitz car, I'll do it like the Miller car, get the steel end, the reefer with the steel ends and stuff like that. But right now the Schlitz car is only there because when I was a kid, my dad drank Schlitz, and he'd always send me to the, when we're watching movies or something like that, the family's in the family room watching Saturday night movies or something, he'd send me to the fridge, you get him a can of Schlitz and get the can opener out and it's soft tops, and put two holes in the top and bring it to him, and that's good memories. So that's why I have the Schlitz car. To my left, or to the left here, we got two cabooses. Those are two Carroll Port Terminal in Chicago cabooses. Now that railroad you'll hear more about. That's my proto freelance railroad. So I've got to do the locomotives for those, and you'll see those being done and stuff. That's what you see in the foreground here. These are Atlas Roco models, and they will be worked on, and we'll discuss those later. So moving along here, so on the back row they got an EJ&E boxcar. That's a Athearn ready to run. The oh, by the way, those Pennsylvania cars, those are custom painted and of course decaled. The EJ&E cars are custom painted and decaled with my own decal designs. So then we have the Susquehanna car. That's another Athearn car that I weathered up. In front of that we have two FlexiFlow. Those are AHM cars. They have some extensive bolster work done and some what is that, Exact Rail 100-ton trucks underneath them. The roof hatches were trimmed off, and those hatches, they're too small, but they represent the roof hatch, and those came from Spring Mills from their PD 3000 cars. Then we got an AccuRail Atlanta and West Point boxcar, and then in front of that is another N-scale car, representation of an N-scale car, one of my favorite cars, the Miller car. I did the decals for that, and it's decorated just exactly the same as my N-scale car. Now that car is a train miniature car, and the Schlitz car is a train miniature car. So let's move along here. The Baby Ruth car back there, that's another N-scale nostalgia car that I built. That's another, actually I didn't build that car, I just touched it up with some paint, and it's a train miniature car also. I put a new brake wheel on it and stuff. All these cars that you see, all except for maybe five or six of them, they all ride on Tahoe Model Works trucks, so they roll really nicely and they look really, really good. In front of that we got more FlexiFlows. I got 5 of those total. Then we got some Bowser CNEI cement hoppers, the Hooker car. Now I did do some decals for this car. You can't really see them. There's some frame decals, and I also did this decal right here. which you can't see. So it helped dress the car up more. So as we're moving along here, I got this light in the way. Let me see if I'm going to move this down a little bit. Let me move it over a little bit more here. There we go. So I got the two Celanese cars. Those cars I just recently finished. Those are IHC train set tank cars. I did the decals for those, stripped them, repainted them, and stuff. So I really like how they turned out. They represent a Celanese car that kind of looks like that. It's not really, but it represents the car. Then the KONG car back there is a Fubi. Let me unplug this camera and plug it in behind me. In just a second. Sorry about that, folks. There we go. So the KONG car is another nostalgia N-scale car that I reproduced. You saw the FlexiFlow cars. And then in front of those we have a Gulf 3-dome tank car. That car is another very important car to me. That car is a duplicate or a representation of the very first N-scale car that I gave my brother for Christmas. So I did the decals for it and all that. And then we got the KONG cars, which I really enjoyed building. Those are built from Atlas, what do you call it? Atlas Trainman PS2s. I cut the ribs off and put some new ribs on there. Behind those is the EJ&E. That's just a AccuRail car, and I use the Highball Graphics decals for it. To the back is a Naugatuck hopper. That's another representation of an N-scale car that I had. That's just straight out of the box AHM car that I cleaned up, matched the paint and repainted certain areas as well as the trucks. Then if we move to the right some more, we have a Santa Fe boxcar. That's just an out-of-the-box AccuRail car. In front of that is another nostalgia car for me, the Great Northern boxcar, done up just like it looked like in N-scale. I did add a few more decals to it to make it a little bit more, I guess, prototype, if you want to say prototype, because it's not a prototype, but look a little bit better. Then in the back, you got a Swift car, or is that a Dubuque car, reefer. That's just an out-of-the-box train miniature car also that I did a little bit of touch-up on paint and weathered it. And in front of that is my train set car, my nostalgia train set gondola that you saw earlier. Then in front of that we have the two Copper State Railway blue box cars that I did. That represents my first proto freelance railroad that I actually started modeling, so I wanted to kind of have something like that along with it. In front of those is the another set of Celanese cars. This is also a nostalgia car for me that I had one in N-scale. I don't know which one it is, but it's in there. I can't see the road numbers right now. And then as we move back, we've got, let me move the camera up here. In the back row, we got a Union Pacific 50-foot box car. That is another nostalgia car. That was a car my brother got in his train set in N-scale, so I wanted to reproduce that. That is an AccuRail car with two Intermountain 40-foot roofs spliced together to get the proper roof, and then an AccuRail roof walk. The decals are a combination of microscale and highball graphics. Or, I'm sorry, microscale and Mask Island. And then, of course, there's the Santa Fe box car that you saw earlier. And then to finish it off, that Burlington car is a representation of the very first N-scale car my brother got for me. And the load is scrap aluminum. I spent about a week cutting an aluminum bar on my mill. And there's a false bottom in there, and I just mounded it up, and it's all cemented in with scenic cement. So it looks really, really nice. I like that car a lot. It's one of my favorite cars, too. And then on the end is just an out-of-the-box Walther's box car that I weathered. So that pretty much takes care of my freight yard. I have enough room in this freight yard for about 21 more cars. So let me reposition the camera and I'll show you what's on my paint bench. All right, on my paint bench, I have the next cars that are ready to be weathered. So I showed you the train set car. That was this one. This is my nostalgic train set car that I did. So you saw that one. The rest of this one is also an NISX car. I just made a new road number for it. And then these four are Carroll Port Terminal in Chicago. Since they were partially controlled by the New York Central, they have the New York Central logo on them, the CPTC reporting marks, but everything else is the same in different road numbers. So these cars all look the same except for this one. I did it as when it was shopped, it got the new logo on it, and when it was shop date and stuff like that. So I thought that added a nice little change to it, so it looks a little bit different and stuff. So they didn't repaint the whole car, they just repainted and put the new logo on it and stuff like that. So that takes care of that. These are going to be three excuse me, CNEI cars. The decals are almost done being designed, so I have to get those off to the shop. Then I got some 40-ton trucks here getting ready to paint the wheels and stuff like that. And back here are the trucks for that nostalgic Santa Fe GP40, and the wheel sets here need to get painted. Those ones are painted and I need to do these. And so that takes care of pretty much what I'm immediately working on here. So I need to put a flat finish on these and then get them weathered and they'll be done. I need to grit blast the couplers here and get them painted and weathered, and then those cars will be all done. So that takes care of that part, and then you can see all my paint stuff there in the back and stuff like that. So now you've seen a bit of what I've been working on, what I'm working on now, and what I plan on working on. There's one other thing I forgot to show, and this is for those Roco GP38s and the GP40. These are laser cut windows. The windows that come, the glass that comes with those is really lame. I mean, the whole model's pretty lame, but the glass is pretty lame. So it took me a few iterations to get these to the right size, but I believe these will be, the last iteration was pretty much right there, so I adjusted it just slightly, so these ones should work. I got these done at a place called Ponoko, PONOKO.com. This cost me $35, and there's enough to do 20 locomotives. So that works out well. I will get in more about what's going to happen with those Roco or Atlas Roco models when I start building them, which could be as soon as tomorrow. But there's one thing I want to ask you guys, and please post it in the comments section. Do you want me to post videos as I finish them? Or do you want me to post the project when I'm done and the multiple videos that come with it all at once? So just let me know what your thoughts are on that and which way you'd like me to do it. But I will probably, most likely, get started on those GP38s tomorrow. My modeling goals for 2021 are to get 20 freight cars done, and excuse me, and I'm not almost there. I'm got a good start on it with those 9 freight cars that you saw on my paint bench, the 6 stock cars and the 3 CNEI PS1 box cars. And right on the heels of those, also I've got the two Hercules hoppers that I'm excuse me. I have the 2 Hercules hoppers that I'm working on. So that's 11 cars. And then at the end of the bench down here, I have 10 1937 AAR box cars that will be in the CPT, and 6 of them will be CPT and C, and 3 of them will be in the New York Central repaints, with CPT&C reporting marks, and one of them, it will all depend on how I go with my Carroll Port Terminal in Chicago history. I have two histories written up. One of them is that when the Penn Central merger came about, the CPT&C was granted exclusion from it, so it became its own entity. The other history that I have both of these written up. The other one that I have is that it was rolled into the Penn Central. So depending on which way I go with that will depend on the paint scheme that I do, and will also depend on that last boxcar being painted in Penn Central with CPT&C reporting marks. So I have some decisions that I have to come up with very quickly, and actually I need to do that before I finish or get to the paint point of these GP38s. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and maybe you got some ideas of how I think and what I'm doing, and I'm really enjoying the way that I'm doing things now. And the detailing days or the super detailing days for me are pretty much over. I don't want to spend the rest of my life on one model. I want to get these things done. You know, all those freight cars that I have, plus the ones that are on the bench ready to be done, I don't have any motive power to pull it with. And I want to get those, part of my 2021 modeling goal is to get those 5 GP38s done. So I need to get to work on these things. I need to decide how far I want to take those GP38s, and I will be discussing that in the introduction to that project video, or that video with that project. So I have some decisions to make. I have to figure out how I want to approach these things because I want to get these things done. I don't have anything to pull my trains with. I want to get the freight cars done. I go to these shows with my friends, and I just walk around watching everything. I don't get to participate. I want to start participating and just enjoying the hobby for what it really is to me. It's not the fine scale work anymore. It's with friends, running trains, operating, switching, just having a good time, laughing and joking and things like that. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. And again, in the comments section, please let me know how you feel I should do the videos, either as I finish them or one big block of videos when the project's done. So thanks again. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your watching.